I just wanted to make a quick update video for the boox Go 10.3. I made my first video about it, which was I think a couple of months ago, and I just wanted to make a quick update to share my updated thoughts and let people know what I like about it, what I don't like about it. So maybe you're thinking about buying it, this video might help you. But first off, if you're new to the channel, I'm Cameron. I make videos about digital minimalism, productivity, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, hit subscribe, you know, the drill. But thanks for checking this out. So for starters, I made a video about this like a couple of months ago. And after that video, I will be honest, I did not touch it for a couple of months. And honestly, there were a couple of reasons for that. The first one being that I thought I would use it for a lot of stuff that I never ended up using it for. For instance, I thought I'd be doing a lot of reading on it, but I already had my book sleeve too, and I was doing all my reading on that anyways. So I was like, I'll just keep it to the books, especially because this thing doesn't have a front light or back light or whatever. It doesn't have a light. And when you're like me and you do all of your reading right before you go to bed, it's a little difficult. I did order a little reading light type thing to hang off the top of this, which was helpful, but I was like, I'll just use the device that already has a light in it. So for reading before bed, I didn't really use it for that. The other main reason I didn't use this thing is the pen that it came with sucks. It's the book standard pen. It feels like a toy. It doesn't have an erase button or anything, and specifically the nibs on it were horrible. I don't know if my friends are freaks or something, but I let them use it, and when I got the pen, when I checked the pen like a month later, after very minimal use, it was completely flattened. I'll see if I can add a photo like right here or something, but it was just completely flat, which is crazy. So overall, I was just like, I don't really want to use this device. So I kind of like let it sit on my desk for a little bit. Eventually, like a few months later, I was at work and I said, like I need to take notes for work. Why don't I just try it for that? Because I don't want to bring my iPad or whatever. Might as well try it. And I actually enjoyed it a lot. So since my last video, things that I've done, I got new pens. I can't stress this enough. The standard pen was so bad. I got I think it's the Norris Jumbo and the Lamy All-Star pen, which are both highly recommended online. And I really enjoy both of them. Specifically, I really like the Lamy because it's more of a pen on paper type feel, whereas the Norris Jumbo kind of feels more like a marker, which wasn't what I wanted, but I can understand why people like it. I'm not like a pen guy. I forget what they're called, like a stationary guy. But I really liked the writing feel of it. It has an erase button that sometimes gets in the way, but I haven't had too many issues with it. And the note-taking overall is just really great. Some of my favorite things are it has like AI recognition, whatever you want to call it, that makes it so that if you make a mistake or something, you can just scribble it out, or you can just circle something and it'll recognize it as a lasso effect and it'll move it around. And then also if you're marking up an EPUB or a PDF, one thing that I love is if I'm reading something kind of technical, I can just underline it with the pen and it will immediately highlight it with pretty low latency. I had to mess with the settings a little bit, but it's pretty awesome. So I've really enjoyed that a lot. The note-taking experience has been fantastic. Haven't had any issues with the stock notes firmware itself either, so I highly recommend that. Some other things I've used it for, I did use this for journaling a bit. I used I think like a USB-C to C dongle or something like that so I could connect my keyboard to it. I just like loaded up Google Docs. That worked really well. I haven't used it for journaling for a while just because I kind of realized I like the pen and paper type feel a little bit more, like actually writing it out. But I really enjoyed it for that. Maybe I'll just move my journaling onto this thing. I don't really know. Something else I wanted to mention that I don't think a lot of people talk about. This thing works really well with OneNote. I use a lot of OneNote for basically all of my note taking, whether it was school or for work. boox worked with Microsoft to make the experience very solid, especially with the pen. The writing is really fantastic. I think the way it works is you write on one layer, and then when you tap on the screen, then it commits it to the paper, which sounds a little weird, but it actually works really well. I've stuck to the stock notes firmware for a couple of reasons. The main one being that OneNote is like an infinite canvas type thing, and I just prefer having everything on one page with this device, especially with the low refresh rate of e-ink. But sometimes when I need to use OneNote on this thing, it actually works really well, and that really surprised me, especially because I thought this was just like a budget e-ink device. I didn't think it would be that fantastic, but it worked really well. It met my expectations, which was fantastic. And then I said I didn't use this for reading. I do use this for reading a little bit. It works really well. I mean, it's a 300 ppi screen, so it looks great. And I really like the highlighting stuff. I already mentioned that. And so yeah, I think for what I use this device for, it's really enjoyable to use. Especially, I can't stress this enough, getting a third-party pen really kind of opens up this device, makes me actually want to use it more. And the writing feel is really fantastic. It's head and shoulders ahead of an iPad with a paper-like screen protector. As for my issues, the biggest one, I guess, is just like the boox OS as a whole. It's just really clunky and annoying, and I know you can get launchers and stuff, which I do have, but for some specific things, you have to use the Onyx launcher. For instance, if you want to move files in the file system, you have to use that launcher, I believe, and they don't even have a way for you to move a file from one folder to another, at least in my experience, and that was crazy to me. And the other thing that was a massive pet peeve of me was the boox sync feature. Basically, what I wanted to do is I wanted to read something on this device, and then if I opened it on my Leaf, then sync the two books, have them have the same annotations and be at the same point in the book, which should be pretty simple. But turns out that boox sync only works in like very specific and weird ways. For instance, you need to have the same file be downloaded to the same exact file path on both devices, and it needs to be uploaded in the same way. And then there's some other caveats where it only works in directory mode and not scan mode. And even when I think I follow everything perfectly, it somehow still doesn't work. And I have a CS degree. I know how to debug software, at least enough to make a living off of it. And it's just not working well for me. So I'm going to try a third-party service or something. I know that there's some other sync integrations that I'll need to try out. But yeah, that was really disappointing. And I did try using SyncThing for some of the file sharing, but I couldn't get it to work for EPUBs, specifically with the annotations. But besides that, I don't have a ton of problems with this device. I mean, it's e-ink, so I only use it for note-taking and a couple other things. I don't use it for entertainment. It's not my all-in-one device like my iPad is, but I'm really enjoying it so far. And so for the question of whether or not I would recommend it to someone, I'd say if you want an e-ink device, I say go for it. It's in a really great price range. I think I got this thing for like $400 when it came out, which is pretty insane considering that e-ink stuff is usually pretty expensive. But I think the main choice that you have to make if you're in the market for this device is, do you even need e-ink? Let's be honest with ourselves. I thought that this device would like change my workflow. I thought it'd do all this crazy stuff for me. But the way I use it can be easily substituted by just a pen and paper and having a physical book. You know what I mean? Nothing that I brought up was anything revolutionary or crazy, and I don't think it adds that much of a quality of life for me that I would say you need to go out and get this right away. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I'll be honest, one of the reasons that I bought it was because it looked cool. I have an interest in e-ink devices already, just because I think they're neat, because I'm a nerd. But so that does play into this, but I don't think this is essential by any means. I think I would be hard pressed to say that I need this in order to function as a professional or if I was a student. Like, I don't think this is completely necessary. Another thing is that you could get an iPad. And so when I originally bought my iPad, I was looking between that and some e-ink devices. I think looking back, I'd like to say that I wish I got an e-ink device instead, just because it's more focused. But honestly, it depends on how you use everything. Previously, I would say that an iPad was cheaper, and I do think that is true. iPads are definitely cheaper than e-ink, but this device is at a really good price point. With this being the budget model, I still think it's around the price of an iPad. I think it might be a little bit more, but it depends on what you think you'll get more value out of. Again, like, iPads are just all-in-one devices. You can do anything on them. You can message on them. You can watch YouTube. They're an all-in-one device, so I don't think this is for everyone. But if you're interested in e-ink technology, if you like reading a lot, if you like having superior note-taking feel and experience, in my opinion, I definitely recommend it. All of this is with the caveat that there's another device in the market that I think might be better than this. the Supernote A5X2, which still has not released. I really like Supernote as a company. They are kind of a smaller team. They're a company that makes devices that look like this. This is basically a direct response to them. I really like Supernote as a company, like genuinely. They're very open in developing features with the community and responding to them, and just overall seeming like they're a great company to work with. And I think that the A5X2 is going to be a really fantastic device whenever it releases, but it keeps on getting delayed. And the other thing is, I don't know for sure yet, but the A5X2 is definitely going to be more expensive than this, just because Supernote's products have always been much more expensive than the price point this tablet is at. But overall, I mean, it's not my place to say whether or not you need this thing. I can say that I really enjoy it. It works great in my workflow, but you really need to ask yourself, does this even make sense for you? Like, if you're a student on a budget, I'd say just get an iPad because it's an all-in-one product. But if you're an enthusiast, if you really like tech and this thing really inspires you, I'd say go for it. If you know you already want an e-ink tablet, I think it's kind of a no-brainer to get this, as long as you don't mind having the front light. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I just wanted to make a kind of a quick update video. But let me know if you have any questions. I'm still trying to figure out more things about this device where I can put it into my workflow that actually makes sense. I haven't even synced this up to my computer yet, so I'll probably need to do that soon. But yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know down below. And I don't know, maybe I'll make a part 3 when the A5X2 comes out and I get one or something, but we'll see. But thanks so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe or whatever down here. But yeah, thank you so much. See you later.